welcome to Right Thinking with Steve Copeland. I'm your host, Steve Copeland, and thank you for tuning in. Let's have a great day.
Good morning, everybody. I hope that you had an absolutely wonderful 4th of July. I did my show, Reflections on Freedom, on Monday last week, the day before the 4th. And this year, I was able to get into a deeper love and appreciation of the freedoms that we have in America than I think I ever have at any other time in my life. I had an absolutely wonderful holiday, just spending time with family and just appreciating the freedoms. And one of the highlights for me was I listened to every one of the songs with my wife that we had talked about on the show last Monday, and listening to them, I saw 7 or 8 other songs that I had left out that I should have had on the show that were just classic, all-time classics of patriotic songs. And so, still being in the 4th of July, Spirit of America, patriotic mode, let me just tell you that George M. Cohan, he was an incredible songwriter. He wrote, "I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy," "She's a Grand Old Flag," and several others that were in that category. And in World War II, he got the Congressional Medal of Honor from Franklin Roosevelt for what he did. And what's so beautiful about it is that when he was getting the award from the president, he said, "Hey, I'm just a song dance man. There's real heroes out there that are doing things for this country." And President Roosevelt said to him, "Your spirit that you give to people of what this country is really all about is so important. We all have our parts, and what you do, I'm recognizing, and I say thank you for you on that." Well, James Cagney was one of our great actors. And most of us remember James Cagney for a famous line, "You rat, you dirty rat," something like that. Well, there's a movie called Over There, and that whole song, Over There, during World War II was the most inspirational thing. So let me just leave you with that thought on that. We listened to Yankee Doodle Dandy, sung by Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. We heard God Bless America with Kate Smith, and she sang it with Dean Martin. We heard John Wayne sing it. Stevie Wonder did a song that I left out, America the Beautiful. And boy, let me tell you what. Stevie Wonder singing America the Beautiful for Spacious Skies, it brings chills to you. It really does. So there's just so many. And let me give you one that is more on a somber note. Country western singer Alan Jackson. He sang, "Where were you when the world stopped turning?" About 9/11. That's one of the most emotional songs that I heard on July the 4th. And I just like to say a lyric from that song. He said, "I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things he gave us, and the greatest is love." Well, that's Alan Jackson quoting that in his song. So let me just tell you a little bit of the thoughts for today that I think is just where I want to get started. And this one is Psalm 118:24. It's about joy as a decision. "This is the day which the Lord has brought about. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Today's show is a follow-up on reflections on freedom and all my conversations on the freedoms that we enjoy in America. And one of the greatest freedoms that we have is freedom of choice. And I said, you know what? I think I need to do a whole show just on choice. so today, that's what we're going to be talking about is choices. And I just want to say this, that one of the main things that I really tried to bring out last week on choices, on freedom rather, is that when we choose to serve the Lord, get our strength from above and listen to Him and be obedient, we don't need to worry about the things that we say or do if we're living godly, a righteous life. And so I just like to tell you one of my favorite proverbs that I've said every day for the last 20 years or so is Proverbs 3, verses 5, 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. As we go through life and we're trying to live and move forward in a direction where we can just do what we're supposed to do and reach the goals and successes that we're after, if you do what I just said that's in that proverb, trust in the Lord, and He will make your path straight, just to say it real quick. That is so true. And over the last couple of days when I was preparing for today's show on choices, I did an awful lot of meditating and thinking, because we have the freedom, but do we use it? Do we use it properly? Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we really don't. We make choices that are not the right thing. One of my favorite expressions that I use when I'm trying to get people to focus on who they are and what they should be doing so they can move forward, I like to talk about sometimes there's only one right answer. A lot of people, they're doing things, and they're doing things almost completely right in the eyes of all the good wisdom that's out there. But they're not doing the right thing. They're doing the wrong thing in a correct way, but it's not going to change where they're at. And if they're looking for change, they're not going to see it. If I ask you, how much is 2 plus 2? Well, we all know once we've gone through basic arithmetic in school, the answer is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. Those are examples of empirical mathematics that's pure, and the correct answer is it's an empirical truth. 1 plus 1 will always be 2. But if I ask you to give me a wrong answer for how much is 1 plus 1, there are thousands of wrong answers. So it is so much easier to go toward a wrong answer because there's so many more of them out there than the right answer. So what I'm really going to be trying to do today in today's show is I'm trying to instill something in each of us, including myself. That's what the uniqueness of this show for me is that I've made as many mistakes as anybody that's listened to this show. I've been just as much confused as anybody else in my quest to figure out what I'm supposed to do. A lot of you are probably 95% correct in what you're doing with your life. If you're understanding that if you control your diet by making the right choices of the foods you need to eat and make the right choices of exercise that you need to do, that you will be able to control your weight. But a person that's doing right choices in that aspect of their life, may not be making right choices in another aspect of their life. And so what I really want to try to do today is have us look at ourselves and ask certain questions. One of those questions is, why can't I change to do the things that I said I really wanted to do that I know would give me a much better life? We've all made New Year's resolutions that we get a week or two into the new year go by the wayside. So what we're going to try to figure out today, and I'll tell you this, we may not get out of this show having the real answers, but I'm going to give you enough about what the answer should be so that we can at least try to move forward and grow. I want to tell you this about choices. A choice is an option. A choice gives you different things that you can do. It gets into decisions. Choices and decisions are so closely related. In the Oxford Dictionary, a decision is a synonym, a like word, same meaning as choice. But we get into the nuances here. I want to give you something that I believe is the difference between a choice, which is an option, something that you can choose and you have different choices, and a decision. I believe that a decision is an action. When I was thinking about this over the weekend, I remember, I think it was the G. Gordon Liddy show years ago that I listened to some, and he used to say that people make a mistake when they use the phrase, it's time, or I'm going to make a decision. He said the correct way to say that is to take a decision. Now let's stop on that one for a minute. If you make a decision, you're choosing something. But if you take a decision, it has a meaning that says you are going to grab something, you're going to take the bull by the horns, and you're going to do something that is the right thing to do, and you're going to do it with a definitiveness of purpose, to use a Napoleon Hill term. Napoleon Hill, when he gave his Think and Go Rich 17 principles of success, and I've related those principles in my conversations for the last 45 years, I stated that of all the influences in my life, other than the Bible, Think and Grow Rich has been the most influential book that I've ever come across, the philosophy that Napoleon Hill taught me. But the thing that stands out in my mind is that when Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 of the most successful people in America for 20 years to find out what was the thread of success that they all have in common, he found out that almost without exception, every single one of these people that had reached great levels of success, greatness, each had their worst setback immediately preceding their rise to their ultimate success, where they never looked back. Why? Why were they able to have their worst setback